All right, hi everyone. So happy to see you all today. Welcome to Defining Moments TV. Today we have a very special guest. I want to welcome Colleen Schaefgen. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Melanie. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I am excited about your subject matter because how many of you guys know somebody who's been thinking about retiring, or maybe they've been threatening to retire or dreaming of retiring, and then they do, and they're just miserable, right? Because they go from like being this person in demand, maybe workaholic, maybe their life had meaning when they had work, especially men, they define who they are by what they do. I know my dad is 89 years young and he's still working. So my mom's like, "Will you please retire so I can retire?" And the funny thing is, it's one thing to have passion and purpose in what you do in your career or your life, but how do you retire? You know, they say the average person dies 4 years into retirement. That's horrible. And one of the reasons, our guest is going to explain that to you in a second, but one of the biggest reasons is they lose their purpose, their meaning in life. And so Colleen has just written a book. She's going to tell us a little bit more about that. But more importantly, even telling you the things you need to look for, you know, the signs and the things you need to look at before you make these decisions. So having somebody who's already been through retirement, giving you the step by step, play by play, the system of what you need to do to be successful in your retirement. We're not just talking about the money side, we're talking about the mindset part of it, finding your purpose, finding joy in the things that you love to do, not the things you have to do. That's what this is all about. So, Colleen, welcome again. So happy to see you here. Can you tell
Thank
us a little bit about how you got started in this? Like, how did this book come about? How did you end up writing a book about retirement? All of that stuff.
Well, yes, I'd love to. I had retired from a Fortune 100 company where I had spent most of my career helping people and helping people navigate their careers, etc. And glass ceilings were being broken and whatnot. So it was kind of a natural evolution to find other ways to help people when I retired. The coaching industry was very new in 2002 when I retired, and I became a certified coach. And I've been coaching people for 23 years and primarily coaching people in their careers to to navigate their careers. When glass ceilings are broken, it didn't mean it was there was a lot of broken glass along the way. Navigate the a new environment, and so I help people to not only navigate successfully, but find things that were in tune with their values and their interests, not just the next slot that was available. And I also worked with small business owners. Both I had a strong sales and marketing background, again at the same Fortune 100, and I helped people who were small business owners to grow their businesses, to develop their staff, and really even to market their businesses. And I found it very satisfying, but I also, over the course of the 23 years that I've been retired, have known a lot of retired people, and I certainly knew a lot before then. Um, and I'm somebody who asks a lot of questions and pays attention, and I've found out that not everybody was thrilled with their retirement life, and they wish they had known X before they retired, or they wish they had done something differently. And I made some mistakes along the way myself. And so I thought, gee, it would be so much better if people knew about what things to consider. And every retirement is unique, but what is it that you should consider? And so, financial planning is really important, but it usually means retirement planning usually just means the financial side, which is really important, saving enough, having enough, making it last. But that's only half of the equation. That's how you're going to fund your life in retirement. But what are you going to do with your life in retirement? So that's where I focused my attention. And I've interviewed a lot of people, I've done a lot of research, as well as people that I've come across. And I found that there really are 10 key dimensions of life in retirement that are not financial. I don't deal with financial stuff. I leave that to the financial planners. But what are the things you need to consider? And some are really easy decisions to make, and some people have never thought of some of those. And so I did a lot of, as I said, interviewing and research, and I have a roadmap for people who are planning to retire. My book is really written for people who are thinking about retiring instead of retirees. But to be real honest, a lot of people that have read my book are happily retired and found great tips and strategies that they said they were going to implement right away that they never thought of. So it really can help anybody in retirement. And retirement should be a happy, joyful time and not a depressing time or not a time where you're scrambling to do something with all this spare time that you couldn't wait to have. And frankly, when we're busy with our careers and our families, we're really looking forward to some free time with no to-do list. But if that's the expanse of your life, if that's all you have is free time, it becomes very disillusioning and unsettling if you don't have anything planned for it. And I know many people who have gone and gotten a job at Walmart or McDonald's or something, not because they needed the money, they needed something to do. So this is to help them plan, and the better time to plan, it's never too late to do some planning, but some choices are no longer full of the same options after you've retired. So it's much better to plan before you retire. So
Yeah.
I help
Yeah.
people figure out what their unique retirement should look like.
Also, the social side, I don't think people don't think about that because they're in an office environment. Maybe they work somewhere. I mean, I have a friend that was working as an executive director for 32 years at the same company and felt like somebody that had this high value and then retired because his dad got sick and he was like in his 50s and he was like going crazy. Like he'd spend all day long just cleaning his patio because he was like, I don't know what else to do. I'm like a
Right.
workaholic and I need to fill my day with things because if I have too much free time, I squander it and then I start to feel unhealthy and I just, or sometimes I find that people they stop their routines. They stop eating healthy, they start drinking more because they're bored and restless and then the next thing you know, they're drinking like 3 or 4 drinks a day and then they're just like depressed. And so it's like really important to know how to use that time like you said. So you went through this and you created this system and you wrote the book. Tell us about the name of the book. Um,
Okay.
and and
Sure.
and more about what happens if people don't follow these steps.
Okay. Well, the name of the book is Moving Toward Retirement: How to Create a Joyful Life. And the reason I picked that title is because I have figured out how to some trial and error of how to create a joyful life. And I think everybody deserves that. But my joyful life is going to be different than yours because you have different needs and preferences and circumstances. So I have created a system where we look at where you are in terms of looking at these 10 dimensions. And then I have an assessment that will walk people through that. It's questions for you to answer for yourself. I have the good questions. You have your answers. Um, and then we create a vision of what you want your retirement life to be like and a plan to get there, and then an implementation timeline. Some things you can do immediately, some things you just need to get ready for. So it really is very unique and very individual. And so that's how I work with my coaching clients. But in terms of the book walks you through all of that so that you can answer those questions for yourself and come back to them. It's not a book that you sit down and read in an afternoon. It's a book that you may read a chapter. Each of the 10 dimensions has its own chapter. You think about those, jot some things down, and you may come back to it later. And you don't even need to read them in order because they're all things you need to consider at some point in time. But people who have read the book, whether they are prepared or not, have found it really, really helpful to work through themselves. And many of them have sought help to kind of brainstorm with me and get some feedback um, because I do ask really good questions. I've been doing it all my life, and I got much better as a coach. Um, so I can pull out of you what things that you haven't thought of, so
So
that
you're
you can have a
basically
plan.
you're a retirement coach that you can help people walk through this plan of how to retire, and not really the financial side, but more of the spiritual side, the mental health side, the purpose side, all the things that the intangibles that people don't always think about until they find themselves in that position and realize, wow, I wish I would have known this before I retired. So what do you think stops people from doing this or reading this type of book? Like if they're thinking about retiring, what do you think stops people from making those decisions?
Well, I think first of all, they don't know that they need to make them. Um, as I said, retirement is a blank canvas, and it looks like, well, I can just do whatever I feel like, and you can, but that doesn't make for a happy retirement. A happy retirement doesn't happen. It has to be planned. Um, and I mean, it could happen, but it's more rare. And there's some of the aspects like health and well-being I talk about. Maybe some of them aren't new, but maybe you haven't been paying attention in your career, and this is the time to do this. And the people that are paying attention to these 10 dimensions live a lot longer. I live in a senior community, and that's not a solution for everybody, but this is just an example. There's 2,000 independent living residents. It's like living in your own apartment. There's no medical services being provided to you or aid or anything. You're just living independently and going out to meet your friends outside of here and making friends in here, etc. And the average age is much higher than out in the world. um, it's 84, and we currently have 17 people who are over 100. One of
Wow.
my neighbors is going to be 104 in a couple of weeks. He's lived here 17 years. And because there's a social aspect, there's the paying attention to health and wellness. We've got two fitness centers and an Olympic pool. There's a lot of sports here. There's something for everybody, and there isn't a one answer. It's finding things to do. It's easy to do when it's all under one roof, but there's ways that you can do that wherever you live. But you need to do it. You need to find ways to stay socially engaged, take care of your body and your mind, and do it in fun ways, and find something that interests you. And the other thing about retirement is if you try something and you say, "Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn a language or learn to play the piano or some other instrument," which many people decide to do and love it. But if you don't love it, stop. You're not committed. This isn't something you have to do. There's no have tos. You're in charge. And the other thing is that people don't we're living a lot longer in general, not just in my community, but in general. So sometimes your retirement years are as long or longer than your career years. So
Yes.
if you're going on a long vacation, you're going to make some plans. What do you need to pack? What arrangements do you need to make? Certainly you want to do that for maybe what could be the next 30 or 40 years of your life.
Yeah. If you look at
So
it as a vacation, that's a great analogy, Colleen. Like if you look at it as you're going away somewhere for a little bit, now it just becomes like more of a permanent vacation, but you would still plan on what you're going to pack, what you're going to take with you. I know a lot of people also tend to take that time to declutter their house, to get rid of things or get a new hobby or learn to garden or travel more. And then they have to have a certain amount of financial security to do things like that or decide if they want to live in a community. I remember I heard somebody that I thought was creative that they ended up living on cruise lines because they had medical attention, they had plenty of food, they had fun, they had fitness, they had everything right there on the boat, and they could literally just stay on the cruise and live on the cruise ship. And it was just like for what they had
wow.
monthly budget of like living expenses, they get on the cruise. And And there's different cruise lines that are starting to accommodate more longer term residents who want to live on the cruise line, or hotels that are creating a residence section for seniors and retirees. It's just really interesting to see how the world now, of course, we're in the baby boomer segment of the largest segment in history of our country of people retiring, selling their businesses, transitioning,
Right.
downsizing, empty nesters. Like there's so many people that are finding themselves as busy as we've all been, and we associate being busy with being successful in this society. Now they get free time and they just don't know what to do with it and how to
That's
find
right.
joy, like you said. So, what else holds people back, Colleen, from doing this or planning things out?
Well, even as I said, mostly they don't know they need to do this, but I have met and worked with and read lots of things in some senior Facebook groups about people who are ready to retire. They have the money, but they're really afraid to retire because they don't know what they'll do. And I
My
think
dad is
the flip
89. My dad is 89 years young, okay? He's been an attorney for over 60 years. He is convinced if he retires, he's just going to keel over. And so he won't retire because he loves what he does. He's so passionate. We joke that he's going to live long enough to do his own probate.
about that.
He still goes to court
Well,
and has like active cases and everything.
Well, and I think the flip side of it is that there is so much information out there, it's overwhelming. Where do
Yeah.
you start? How do you know you're getting the right information, or how do you pick the information that's gonna be most relevant to you? And, I've done that research and,
Oh, that's what I was
uh
gonna say. If you're gonna listen to someone about retirement, you're not gonna listen to a 30-year-old who's speculating about retirement. You wanna listen to somebody who's actually been through it, who's lived to survive and tell about it and say, "These are the mistakes I made. Here's the things that are gonna save you time and money by knowing this now and how you can start to plan just like a vacation." So, you're kind of like a travel tour guide. You're like a tour guide of retirement in a
Of
way.
life, right. And the other thing that people don't tend to think about, but, there is romance in retirement, even in your 70s and 80s. I'm an example. I got married, in my 70s for the I'd been single for 40 years. Um, and I know 2 people who did online dating in their 80s. One was almost 90 after being widowed, from a very long, happy marriage, both of them. And one met somebody he could have crossed paths with multiple times, but he met her online and they got married, and his children love her, and she's become part of her family. And the man that's turning 104, he had a long-term romantic relationship for 10 years through his 90s. Um, so, there and people often end up widowed if they live long enough and have a happy marriage. And it doesn't mean that part of your life is over. It can be if you want it to be, but there are lots of options. So I think it's knowing what's out there, and I've really pared it down to the key questions. Not all, and I've got some suggestions and some recommendations and some research, but it's not like that's if you buy my book, you'll have your answers. But if you buy my book, you will be able to figure out your answers, and you can work with me as a coach. As I said, I coach people who wanted some help, make sure that they were on the right track because they're retiring young and they've got the money. Two couples in particular, and they they want to make sure that they're looking at all the right things. Um, so and you don't have to have it all planned out, but you'll make better decisions and have more choices in retirement if you do the planning before you retire,
I love
and
that.
implement
That's
some of
awesome.
those things.
Well, and that's really the key is just, being clear, getting clarity on the decisions and the things that you hadn't thought about, bouncing ideas off of somebody. So tell us, what should our viewers do next? I know like they can go get your book right now. We're doing a book launch as well today, so they can get your book. Your ebook is 99 cents. The print book is just under $10, so it's half of what it would normally sell for. So you're getting
Right.
special rates for people. And by the way, you guys, these books make great gifts for Father's Day, for your father, your grandfather. This is exactly the book you get somebody that has everything. You don't know what to do. They don't need another necktie, especially if they're going to retire. They're like, hallelujah, I don't ever have to wear a suit again except for a funeral. You know what I mean?
That's certainly true.
So, just this is, I love giving people books as the gift of hope. I think we have enough dope dealers out there. We need more hope dealers, right? So, giving people something they really want and need that they may not even know is out there. I have given books like that to people, and they're so grateful. I sent your book, I bought a copy and sent it to my friend. I said, I'm tired of listening to you complain about being retired. I'm working my buns off over here. You had all this free time to clean your patio all day. So you need to read this book so you can be happy in retirement. And they started laughing. And it's just like, I'm so happy to have this as a resource. And if you guys know people that are like that, they're just either so miserable being retired because they're bored, or they're afraid to retire because they think they're going to be bored. This is a perfect gift to give them. And then you also have a special assessment that you mentioned that people can take on your website. So how can they find out about that as well?
Okay. Well, my website is createajoyfulretirement.com. And if they go there, the first thing they'll see is how to get my assessment. And the assessment actually will help anybody who has read the book or who has the book to take an assessment where you are now. People who've taken it first, you don't have to, but people who've taken it first have found more value in reading the book because they already know what they kind of where they need to focus more of their attention. Oh, I never thought about that aspect of retirement when they get to that section. And then for the first 20 people who buy my book on and go get the assessment, you can book a call. There will be a link for you to book a call with me, and we'll go through your assessment results. And this is a $500 value of the assessment plus having me review the assessment with you.
I
But
love
that
that.
will give you a great launching pad.
Yeah,
So
and then you look at their assessment, they get a chance to talk to the author of the book. I mean, you are one of the premier experts in the world. And by the way, your book is a #1 bestseller, so congratulations. There's a
thank
lot
you.
of people that are interested in this. So, so happy for you for getting this done. So you guys go get the book. Now, if you're watching a replay of this or you're watching it later, like this is live, okay? It's only the special offer during the launch. You may go to the page and find out the offer's not available or the price has changed for the book. So, little disclaimer here, this is just for the launch. So, take advantage of it, do it now, and reach out to Colleen to do that assessment. That's a very generous $500 offer, and be able to get some clarity about what the next steps are and what it looks like for you. What an incredible gift. Thank you so much for doing this. And
You're welcome.
one more thing I just wanted to ask you about is, as people go through the steps, they read the book, they start figuring out what it is they want to do, they can also refer people to you on the website to book a call with you if they're interested in just going a little bit deeper on some of these things, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do coach people. Um, and it's much more laser focused and it's about your unique situation. So it's not, a generic thing. It's very specific to you and either you or you and your partner, whether you're married or have a partner.
Well, thank you
So
so much, Colleen, and congratulations on everything. Thank you all for being here. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Colleen? Any advice maybe you have to somebody who's thinking about writing a book? Maybe they want to retire and they have all this knowledge and they don't know what to do with all this knowledge. Maybe they should write a book or, go out there and start coaching and consulting in their space.
I've run into a lot of authors who have retired and that's what they've done. You know, they, uh, former classmates, et cetera. I've had I've written 3 books, et cetera, and a book is really something that's very personal and a nonfiction book, very personal and that you're passionate about and you have a message. And I, I've I feel passionate about sharing this, how to create a joyful life. And if you feel passionate about whatever, either something that was adversity for you and you overcame it or something like that, this is a perfect opportunity and I would get guidance. Melanie's company is just Defining Moments has been just awesome in terms of the support that they give. And, you know, it's a new undertaking and certainly was a growth opportunity and a passion project. So I would encourage people to reach out to Defining Moments as well.
Well, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. And by the way, if you are interested in writing your own book or you want to learn more about this process that Colleen went through that she's discussing, you can also click on our website, mydefiningmoments.com, or the link below. Fill out an application to work with us, and we can also meet with you and find out about your book idea. The idea is that we believe if you retire with so much knowledge that it's kind of selfish because there's so many thousands of people out there that need to know what you already know. And just like Colleen is sharing her knowledge about retirement, you may have some knowledge in your head that you could share with somebody. And that knowledge has so much value. So just because you retire doesn't mean you can't monetize your retirement with that knowledge, even if you leave a job or a career. So it's one of our favorite things to do. And we love helping people get their little book babies out into the world and inspiring so many people with their stories and their wisdom. So thank you so much, Colleen, and all of you for joining us today. Please keep us posted. And if you wouldn't mind going to get her book, don't forget to go leave a review. Wherever you bought the book on Amazon or online, make sure you leave a review, an honest review for Colleen, because it she worked so hard and put so much effort into getting this book out there. And I know that would mean a lot to her and anybody else that's thinking of getting the book. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you, Colleen. Congratulations on
Welcome.
all of your
Thank you.
success.
Thank you for all your support and getting me to this point and to being a best-selling author.
Absolutely. So happy for you. All right. Well, bless you and take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.